Hello, and welcome to the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 48. I'm your host, Jake Burke, and joined, as always, by James St. Charles and Ted Hot Takes / Awesome Libby. I didn't have a nickname. I didn't write one down, so that's where you're at.
I'm glad you write them down.
Yeah,
just for me.
Yeah, usually I do. And James he's James. He's my guy. Yep. He's my partner in crime.
Yeah.
Ted?
Well, he's the only salaried employee here.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm just a guest star.
You are the forever rotating third chair that's always got a seat in it, and it's always yours. Well, it's because COVID. Nobody can come into your house, and that's where we have to record the third episode.
Exactly. I've been alone for months.
I know. We miss you.
I don't believe that.
We don't really miss him, because this is the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 48, where every Monday morning a new episode goes live on YouTube.com, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Once a week, we sit down and Skype or video chat across 500 miles to talk about a gaming-related topic and what games we are playing. We missed last week, so we are back. And the reason we missed last week, big announcement just for me personally, I got engaged. So I wasn't able to record a podcast. Yeah.
I'm not wearing the ring.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I actually
exciting for both of us.
Funny story about a friend of the show, Gunner. So on Saturday is when I got engaged. Sunday I told Gunner. On Monday we put out a new episode of the podcast. On February 22nd, I think it was. Put out an episode of the podcast, and he texted me. He goes, "Wow, get engaged and still drops content. Nice." I was like, "Thanks, man."
You didn't know.
We try. Our main topic today is our hot takes or most controversial opinions in video games. We're just going to have some fun, a nice loose conversation about things that maybe people will be like, wow, really? That's your opinion?
That's the better way to describe it.
That's what we're doing. We're like, oh, geez,
like
okay, these guys? And I'm going to be honest. My first
team
one,
up on everyone.
Yeah, my first one I'm going to get a lot of shit for. If you like the content, please remember to subscribe, like, share, and we always ask you to tell your mother we are a mom-friendly gaming podcast.
Your mom could be the 100th subscriber.
And that's what I want to talk to everyone about, guys. We are 2 subscribers away from 100. And if you are the 100th subscriber and I can actually identify that you are the 100th one, I'll say your name next episode. Actually, you know what? I'll make Ted say your name next episode.
Oh, that's even better.
That's a treat.
I want to do it. No,
and please have the hardest name to say.
Oh, gosh.
Like lunatosity. That's what I want your name to be.
Literally letters.
Please violate.
Like, possible way.
Please violate YouTube's content agreement laws.
Yep. That's what I want.
Yep.
All right, boys. We've got some games we're going to talk about that we've been playing, but I think we should start with our hot takes. Do you think you have the hottest take out of all 3 of us? No. James?
Nope. No, sir.
I don't think so.
I might got the hottest one. Can I drop it? You ready for this?
Right away?
Right away.
If it has to do with mouse and keyboard, I'm going to be pissed off.
Mario games are overrated.
All of them?
Yes.
Every single one?
Maybe Super Mario World is the only exception.
I agree.
I think Mario 64 is overrated.
After Super Mario World, every other Mario game has sucked.
Now, here's the deal. I understand that Super Mario 64 changed how games were played. I understand that. Like, there was the first 3D game, and that's great. As a 4-year-old or whatever I was, I didn't get it. So going back to it, I still like when people talk about how well it plays today, I don't see it. I don't feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when that 3D All-Stars pack dropped, I was like, why would I buy this? The only one I like is Galaxy on there, and like not enough to pay $60 for it. I firmly believe, in my opinion. I don't get it. I don't get why Mario games are so overhyped.
I'm going to list them all off for you. What about Mario Kart?
Not Mario games. Like, I'm talking about mainline Mario games. Mario Kart fucks.
Okay.
All right, that game's great.
Yeah. The Super Mario
like,
Strikers is the perfect game.
Okay, Mario games like Smash or something like that. Not games with Mario. Games that are Mario.
Yeah, like a Mario franchise title. Like, and Mario Odyssey was good. But like when people were like, is it Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild for Game of the Year? I was like, are you really? We're comparing these two?
Oh, yeah.
Get out of town. That's my hot take. I don't get it.
I think it's because, like, Mario games really have the same story all the time. And I swear, like, Zelda games do not. Even though, like, it's, like, surprising to hear, like, they definitely, like, have different aspects to the story.
Zelda changes the formula enough. Where I feel
it's like it's enough where it's different. Whereas, but Mario, it's the exact goddamn same.
Mario's story is so minimalist. That's why it's great.
But so is Zelda's, but they still change it.
It barely matters.
But I don't know.
I mean, Zelda's always rescue a princess, right?
So is Mario. Mario's always like... Mario games always begin with Mario and some princess hanging out. A ship flies overhead.
And she's
taken and they go, Mario!
Even in the Mario Party games.
And that's actually Mario Party, so it's like that. I'm still surprised Mario Kart doesn't. And that's when he looks at Luigi and he's like, what do we do? And he goes, ride together, die together. Right. And then him and Luigi hop in Mario Karts and take off. Fast and Furious.
That sounds like that sounds like a fantastic story mode to a Mario Kart.
That would be so good.
Good Mario movie.
I didn't got the friends. I got the family. Mario.
Yeah, it's like I'm comparing it to Zelda, but it's just in general. It's
Mario lands a minimal violence video game in a charming and super fun way. You stomp on people, sure. You kick people sometimes. There's a penguin involved.
Yeah.
But it is perfect for young audiences. There isn't necessarily that, like, violent take, which so many video games do.
Yeah.
That's why Mario games are so important.
That's my problem with Pokemon as well, is that you have people
the violence or the lack of violence?
Lack of violence.
Here we go. The lack of violence is the Pokemon problem?
This is the part where James endorses dogfighting.
No, this is what I wanted.
But just Pokemon media and Pokemon games in general are just too kid-friendly.
Yes.
And the people who grew up...
I will have you know, I play Pokemon Go, and I fight people with their phones out in the park consistently.
Stop.
I beat them up.
Stop.
Yep.
Stop.
Sure.
Stop.
But just in general, the people who grew up with Pokemon, like at the prime, like when it first came out, are all approaching their 30s. They don't want this kid-friendly bullshit ice cream Pokemon thing that, like, I don't... We want,
Vanillite.
like... Yes. I will always never remember their name.
No. I agree with that with Pokemon. Pokemon's actually a really interesting hot take kind of thing, I guess. I don't think they're good anymore. Like, I think they're just really bland reskins of what has come before. And I played Sword and Shield, and it was like...
Wasn't the new game announced?
Yeah.
Recently? There was, like, no hype around it. Like, it was just...
So they announced Diamond and Pearl, like, remakes, which is all right. Sure, they're remaking them. The art style looks, in my opinion,
That's fine.
awful.
Yeah.
It, like, just looks like it does slightly up-resed on the DS. But they've announced an open-world game that is basically Breath of the Wild, but with Pokemon.
Yeah,
and
it's like Pokemon Hunter.
Yeah.
That's not what it's called, but that's what it looks like.
That should be the name, though. That's a great name.
Yeah.
It's like Pokemon Legendary? Legacy? Something like that.
But again, it's like, there's no hype around it. And
yeah, because guess what? That game's not going to be what everyone wants it to be. Pokemon Legacy, Legendary, whatever. I don't remember what it's called.
I mean, I would love I think I saw like some, I don't know, maybe it was like some Unity engine type thing, but it looked like an open world, like Breath of the Wild type game, but with Pokemon. And that to me was like, God, if that was like a thing, that'd be so amazing.
Yeah, that will always be better than whatever Game Freak's going to make us.
But no, they are not going that route. Or they're like trusting other studios to like make some sort of like game with that IP. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with, like, Pokemon needs to age up, I think, because
it needs to age up, or else it's just forever just going to be like these kids, and then you're going to lose.
Well, there will always be kids who are always buying Pokemon games.
Yeah, I guess. I wonder how they sell with kids like today. Like, I wonder if it is a nostalgia-driven franchise or if it is like new kids are like in love with Pokemon. Because of Fortnite, I don't know, and Minecraft.
Yeah. Kids love video games.
It's true.
It's my hot take.
That's your hot take. Wow.
You could. There has to be a way you could bridge both gaps, like with Pixar movies. Like, you can have it both be appealing to an older audience and a younger audience.
Yeah, they almost have, like, because people call, like, Pokemon like your first RPG, like it's like you're training to learn like how to play an RPG. But I feel like now we gotta age it up. Like, now we gotta find like how do we make Pokemon accessible for like me?
How do we make Pokemon die?
Yeah, instead of they faint, they die.
Yeah, blood.
You're gonna take them to like where they burn the corpses of old Pokemon. Cremation factories for your Charizard.
Oh no! Run by Charizard.
Yeah. All right, I want to know another hot take, boys. Let's hear it. Where are we at? We just talked a little bit about Nintendo. Did anybody got something similar?
Okay, so I got a Nintendo-esque thing.
Perfect.
I got a quote, and I think it's one of our favorite quotes.
Oh, yep, the Miyamoto quote.
It's exactly that quote.
You think you want it, but you don't?
Oh, no.
That basically that, but a delayed game is eventually good. A rush game is forever bad.
Yep.
I think that quote is not true.
Wow.
It is not accurate at all.
What makes you think that?
Say the quote one more time.
Because what happens is rushed games get reworked to the point where they're playable.
But when that quote was said, they didn't do that. When that quote was said, it was like the 90s where they couldn't update
stuff. No, that quote was not. That quote was from like 2012.
Was it?
Like, yeah, that was a.
Yeah, that was before Nintendo games had patches.
Okay, so I think that
there was patches around then, but
not on Nintendo.
Not for Nintendo. Okay, yeah. So maybe they were just
Nintendo just learned patches like 2 years ago.
Nintendo, the game just came out and that's it. They never touched it. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
I would think,
but nowadays that's not no longer true. Like the quote is like aged to the point where games come out rushed or buggy or something like that, and then they get reworked, and then eventually you go back and be like, oh, have you heard of this game? It has this update and it's now this good. Point take Fallout 76.
Right.
Counterpoint Cyberpunk 77.
No, that's
2077.
It's still not good.
Yeah, I think
it's still.
I think the quote is
there is a wave of release date hype. That is very important. It is a real special thing to be able to play a game with all of your friends on your friends list playing as well and being like, we're doing a thing together. And if a game comes out and it's bad, that doesn't happen.
Also,
and you hear about it word of mouth and you play it and you're like, okay, yeah, this is good now. But that, that wave that you surf is just not there. And I think that's kind of what's so important about games coming out in a perfect or finished state.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jake. What were you going to say about the quote?
I think the quote is like partially true. Yeah. But I also think it's like there are outliers to it, but fundamentally I think it is true. Like
I think Cyberpunk broke me for that quote because the delayed game, it was delayed so much, and I remember the delays, and it was not good.
That little yellow warning sign. I think that like you get games like No Man's Sky and stuff like that. There are the outliers, and people play them, and they're freaking great. But I think to the general public, and we may be so zoomed in on like the gaming ecosystem of like the kind of the minutia of like, we like the news and the updates and stuff. That like, I think a lot of those games like Cyberpunk, that game's kind of, I mean, to be honest, the general public, that game's done. Especially like if you bought that on PS4, like you won't touch that game again. The most average person that bought that game.
Yeah, there's nothing that's having you come back to the game unless they release something like insane, which they won't.
Like I won't play Cyberpunk again. Like it burned me enough to like, and to be like, no, there wasn't a lot in this game anyways. Like it wasn't
because it didn't feel like
and
what it's supposed to be.
Right. And like no matter how many updates they put into that game, I'm probably done. Where like Breath of the Wild was delayed like 4 times because like stuff wasn't working in it and they needed everything to work right away. And now it's like this one of the great games of all time because it was delayed X amount of times to get those systems in. Where like Nintendo wouldn't do the Cyberpunk thing, like we got to release it with the this launch with the Wii U because that's what it was supposed to be, a Wii U game. And they held it for Switch because they were like, we got to make this the best it can be rather than just like put it out and try to fix it. And I think that's more the theory of that quote is like, but
yeah, I mean, maybe the quote is aged because it's been what?
Well, it's also it applies differently to different things. Rainbow Six Siege is a competitive multiplayer game. I can hear about that from my friends that it's good now. Go back to it and play with my friends and it works.
Yeah.
Single player game. If my friend says, "Oh, the single player game's good now," I'll be like, "That's neat." Yeah. I don't know if I'll go back to it. Maybe if it really interests me, but I don't have that drive of like my friends are playing to get me in there.
Yeah.
You know what sucks too about that is like if you liked a certain patch or like a certain update version of a game, you can't like go back and play it. Like most companies aren't having these classic like RuneScape like type things.
Yeah.
And so you can't go back and play like how you want it to be because it's evolved so much into something that like new guns, new thing, new nerfs, new buffs. It's not what you said.
What you just said reminds me of Skyrim. Like I loved when Skyrim first came out and the blacksmithing, like almost like breaking blacksmithing, but you just kept making daggers because that's how you got your level up. And then like trying to actually level up blacksmithing once they removed that kind of like workaround was the most like painfully annoying thing. Like it actually became not fun to like try to blacksmith in that game because you're just like, okay, like I want to build X thing here, but like I just gotta sit here and build a bunch of bronze chest plates or like whatever you had to build, and it was like this kind of sucks. Like they ruined it by like trying to fix the workaround that they didn't realize was in their game. So I agree with that. Like sometimes you do want to play the old patch.
It's a different time though. Like games were just releasing. It's like that's it.
Yep.
Have at it. But nowadays it's like games was wait, hold on, let me take that back, and boom, fixed.
Yep. Like Marvel's Avengers, they're gonna make the game more grindy because that's what it needed. Did you hear about this, Ted?
Will never be good.
They announced that like, hey, come when we release it on the PS5, like it's gonna be harder to level up. We really want you to like work to level up. It's like what?
I don't know why.
Ted, dump me a take. Throw it on my plate. Let me eat it.
Shorter games are better than longer games.
Ooh.
We are living in a world, at least I'm living in a world where my time is becoming more and more valuable, and I have less and less of it to just sit here in front of a computer. And at the same time, video games are getting absurdly long, endlessly long, and are turning us into a form of addicts with season passes, rotating DLC, rotating stores, just constant reasons that make me think I need to be sitting in front of my computer right now. Endlessly.
Did you beat Valhalla, Jake? How long is that game?
I'm like 40 hours in, and I'm nowhere near halfway, I think.
Video games are getting really, really fat.
Yeah.
To a point where I just look at so many options now, and I go, I just can't do this. This is an 80-hour, 90-hour thing, or this is a potentially endless thing. I just can't do it. Yeah. And I think I prefer games that have a concise start and an end, and I can plan my time accordingly.
Yeah, to commit to like that time is, you have to really love the game.
I think like it's
well,
one
and
thing
for
where
so long growing up, I remember vividly this idea of like you can play this game for 100 hours.
Yeah.
That's a selling point. And now I'm like, no way.
No,
absolutely not.
way.
Like, give me 25 hours at most.
I think the problem with that is that every game now is an open world that's 90 hours, and like
Or
Jesus
a
Christ.
multiplayer live service game.
Yeah, like I don't have time to play the 5 biggest games of the year that are all open world RPGs.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Oh, and some of the top games my friends are playing. The comment after, "Hey, you should start playing this with me," is, "You're gonna have to get up to my level. Here are the things here are the things you need to do to get up to speed." And I'm like, I don't have time to get up to speed. I just don't.
Well, it's that Final Fantasy, I think it's like 9 or 10 or something, and there's a Final Fantasy game that like literally the
multiplayer, the MMO, right?
No, it's a single player one. I think it's like 9 or 10. But the saying used to be like, after the first 20 hours, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're gonna play a game for 20 hours, it's like not good to like get to like some great stuff. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I do not have that mentality. Like, I tried to play Persona 5 and it was a great game, but like I just was like, I can't do this for 100 hours. Like, I'm 20 hours and I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I would agree. Video games are too long. The best games are 10 hours, 12 hours.
Yeah, I think when I see like 8 to 10 hours around there, it's usually like a good game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's telling a good story.
Or they are targeting like a good time frame.
A multiplayer sense, much more of a drop in, drop out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do your own thing. We don't really care.
Yeah. I don't need a 60-hour campaign and be like, yep, I got every dollar worth. Yep, $60, boom, $1 per hour. No, that should not be the model. I've played plenty of like $20, $30 games that were like 3-4 hours and amazing.
Oh my God, yeah.
That like brings me another thing. It's like there's not enough in video games like attention to the art and the like music and like respect to those creators. You're always like looking at the company, which is an odd thing for like this type of media. You look at companies and like, okay, it's this company. Oh, this person's doing this game. But you're not looking at the actual like people, the actual like artists, actual creators. Whereas like for movies, sometimes you're always like thinking about that. You're thinking about the actors, thinking about like that. So and most of the people who are playing games do not think about that at all.
No,
they don't think about Troy Baker. Oh, cool. That's cool. I see it. Nope. They're not thinking that. Like maybe we will be.
Well, even just, I mean, we might talk about this at some other point, but the company Blizzard is a functionally and like driven. It's a different company now. There are different people than when you played those games that you love, and yet we talk about like, oh, I love Blizzard. It's like, well, no, you like the stuff they made when very different people were making it 10 years ago.
Dude, that's BioWare. That's like when people are like, how did BioWare make Anthem? Well, they usually basically had a whole different like team that was an RPG team that was forced to be a multiplayer team, and a bunch of them left. So like, it's not the same team that it was when they were making Mass Effect and KOTOR.
He's right. It's weird that we don't cognitively accept that difference of like, there's a different director. That means it's going to be a different movie.
Yeah, right.
I think, oh no, Paramount. How could they make a bad movie?
So, and no one thinks about that. It's like, oh, the new director is on the game. It's like, I don't care.
That's a big deal. If that
happens
in the
company?
Movie, yeah.
So I like the idea of being a big fan of just Paramount movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I think Sony is doing a much better job nowadays trying to like bolster the director behind the game of like, this is a Cory Barlog directed game. So like, you're like, his name hold weight.
I know more Sony like game directors than any other industry.
Oh my God.
You're right. They do a good job at that. Like,
and they struck gold with Metal Gear Solid. And
Kojima
just being a superstar character.
Yeah, and it really then Naughty Dog really having like Amy Hennig and then Neil Druckmann like behind these games. They made them like
also
household names.
Weirdly enough, Namco Bandai has a weird thing of like they have personalities behind their games that try and sell them to you. I forgot his name, but the guy who does Tekken.
Yes, the Tekken guy is
wearing glasses and a leather jacket, and he's just like a goofball.
Yeah, that Tekken guy is really
but I know that he's the guy behind those. He's the creative director behind those games. It's not Namco games. It's that guy's game.
That's
like what they need to start doing.
Yeah, I mean Ed Boon.
Ed Boon, yeah.
But
it's
but these people have all lucked into it as opposed to being promoted for who they are.
Yeah.
So
it's something that's not done enough though. It's just hot take wise that the game industry like sucks.
I mean,
like promoting their media.
I had a conversation with my roommates recently, and we were talking about the last couple games we played, Valheim, Risk of Rain, all of these teams are like 4 to 5 people.
Yeah.
But I've only ever known them as their company, and I always just kind of assumed they were all on the bigger side, and then you're like, oh no, that's like 2 guys who make that. Like, I could learn their names.
Yep.
This could be a Kevin Johnson game, but I just don't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I think that the thing with that is video games are usually made by hundreds of people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're not going to know every
Well,
individual.
and same with movies.
Same with movies,
you know?
but that director, you can have that tentpole figure being like, oh, they're calling the shots, so I can trust their work.
Yeah, but usually for some movies, like you could like recognize directors and producers,
Yeah.
as long as with the actors. Like, but it's just like most of the time in a game, you're not really paying attention to like the actors unless it's like the main story actor. But
Yeah, right.
just because of the way video game voice acting has been, unless it's like someone notable, unless someone who's actually like acted in a movie is acting in
He's
a
in
game.
it, right? Yeah,
Like, that's
hey,
the only time.
Kevin Spacey's in Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like,
whoa.
holy-
Oh, sorry, yeah, Kevin Spacey.
Oh,
Speaking of hot takes, get away from Kevin Spacey.
Don't get it.
Bioshock Infinite is one of the most overrated games of all time. And the fact that it was in contention for Game of the Year against The Last of Us is absurd.
Yeah, it was not good.
And Bioshock is one of my favorite games ever made, the original Bioshock. And Bioshock Infinite, interesting story.
Did you
Good?
play the DLC?
No, I never played Burial at Sea, so that might. Apparently, that's supposed to
I
be
need
really
to play
good.
the DLC.
Yeah,
because that's supposed to like.
it's supposed to be great.
Yeah.
That being said, the core game, the gameplay of that game is awful. Like it feels like a Call of Duty 2 shooter, and that is just my hot take because I know people love that game. They are wrong.
I hate it. It's like to me, it's separate from the 3 games.
Yeah. Ted, what
Even though.
do you got for me?
I enjoyed that game, but not at all because it was a Bioshock game. I thought a lot of the story beats and like the atmosphere itself is very cool. The world design, that kind of stuff was really cool. I actually really enjoyed the shooting in a lot of strange ways. I got really good at it. I beat that game on the hardest difficulty, with the exception of that ghost boss, which is stupid.
Worst boss in games.
Yes.
I hate that game.
Worst boss
I hate
in any
it.
game. That was awful. But a lot of the thematic elements, they present to you choices constantly that don't matter, and it feels like a giant magic trick of like, you know, you think you're presented with options and you're just not consistently.
And I think that's
and
interesting.
And the game, you know, in a lot of times really throws racism in your face and then doesn't do anything about it.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah. I do.
It's like people hail it as like a call to action, as like a, you know, activism, and it's totally not in like a really dumb way.
Yeah, it's like passive about it. Like it didn't have this like guts to take it all the way. Like it like kind of got halfway and was like, okay, you kind of see what we're saying, right?
It gets halfway and then it flips to the other side and makes the laborist party look like dickheads too. And then you're like, okay, now I just don't get it.
I don't get it.
And then it never, you know, drives the point home on anything.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like Bioshock had like such. Oh God, I could talk. Let's talk about an hour and a half of Bioshock. Let's go right now.
Yes.
Done. Let's go.
The Bioshock podcast. Welcome to the Sidescape Bioshock podcast. I'm your host, Jake.
Bioshock podcast.
Yeah. Now, would you kindly listen to us, please? I think like Bioshock. Not even like there is obviously like a great twist in that game, but like really the core of that game is like such an interesting world that like fell apart because it overextended itself.
Yep.
And we're seeing the remnants and hearing about what happened. Where I feel like in Bioshock Infinite, you're just like there, and it's like the society that like it exists, and like people are kind of moderately happy with what it is, but you're like the one that's like, this is fucked up. I gotta change it. And I think that's like where it doesn't hit on the same notes of like this society isn't collapsing. You're like kind of causing the collapse.
Yeah, you're just like a madman terrorist shooting everybody that moves.
Yeah, like you just walk in
I'll
there.
solve this with my gun.
Yeah. And I
Literally.
and I do like the characters, and I like Booker DeWitt, and I like stuff like that. But I just, I don't know. Oh, geez, sorry, my cat's freaking out at the door. I just heard like scratching and ramming. But yeah, like I just think it's kind of an overrated game that should not have been compared to most of the games of 2013. That's just that's where I stand on, and that's without my bias of The Last of Us. I think there was other games besides The Last of Us 2 that were better. And it was shocking.
I have a weird liking of the actual gameplay in that game, but I will totally agree that the story just isn't there. It isn't up to the name of Bioshock.
Yeah.
I honestly just don't think that's good. I think it's an important time capsule of where video games were about 10 years ago of like this, hey, we're going to present to you with a real world problem and then not say anything about it, and you're just going to shoot people like it's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And that to me, I think, is a perfect example of how far video games can come or can go, of like, we can do a lot better than this.
Yeah. And it just didn't have the feeling of Bioshock of like, I got 12 bullets in my pistol and 3 in my shotgun. I know there's a big daddy over there, and I got to walk to the end of this fucking creepy ass hallway.
Yeah.
And I hear laughing.
There was none of that. No.
Yeah. It was like Bioshock, like you hopped on a skyhook, and everyone's like, shoot that guy, and you're like, and then you're done. And you're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
It's like, wow,
yeah, there's a lot of drawn out, intense combat sequences where you have to shoot them, and it's going to take you a lot of bullets.
Yeah. The best part of Bioshock was like sneaking through with 1 bullet in your pistol, and you hear like, the chatterbox is going. You're like, okay, This is great. Thank God. That's my, that was a little hot take. I've been needing to get off my chest for a while. I'm very upset by Bioshock Infinite.
I could tell.
Thank you. Thank you, James, for understanding I needed this therapy.
Yes.
All right,
I'll continue this.
Oh, all right, let's hear it, Ted.
The Civilization series is heavily overrated.
Yes.
I honestly don't find that to be a very interesting video game anymore.
Ted, do you know why it's overrated? Because there's nothing else to compete with it, so that's all you get. You literally just get Civilization, and there's nothing in that genre that actually like.
There are all sorts of grand strategy games, and there's even, we're starting to see some more kind of level up the Civilizations kind of game. That Humankind is coming out soon. We'll see if that has anything to do with it. But when you break down Civilization to its actual gameplay components, it is kind of just an overcomplicated board game, and it ends up being extremely predictable. Like, you play the game for the first time, and you're like, oh my god, I'm next to Gandhi on the one side, and Cleopatra's on the other side. Let's try and work something out. But then you're like, okay, I know Gandhi will be peaceful, and he'll tech in a very specific direction.
He's not peaceful, though. He wants to launch nukes all the time.
That's a glitch from the first game. That's a fun story at best. And Cleopatra's going to build wonders because that's what she does. And it's very easy to see the different paths to go and to just work around them. To a point where, for those of you who haven't played Civilization, the difficulty bar in Civilization doesn't change anything about the game except the statistics of the AI. It just makes them cheat. They can just see what you're doing. That's how the game gets harder.
I think Civilization, for me, is a fun board game to sometimes play with friends. Mm-hmm. But it's like when people complain about Monopoly, they're wrong because you can actually play Monopoly games quick. It's one of those games that it goes on way too long, and I get kind of bored of what I'm doing.
Yep.
And you can't change what you're doing. Like once you start down the science path, you have to do it or you are screwed.
Yes.
And that's just what it is, and it's just not my type of game. But I'm like,
you talk about playing a game with friends. I've put many hours into Civilizations. James was there for most of them.
I'll be right back. I'm listening.
And there have been plenty of times where, one of my friends has tech science and has the resources to do it, and he will always be better than me, and he will probably win. So I pick the next weakest friend of mine, and I attack him and kill him, and then he just sits there out of the game while that first friend wins with science.
Yeah,
and there's nothing anybody can really do about that. There's no subversion. There's no tactical or emergent way to get a leg up on your opponents. It's just like you kind of get what you get, you make a couple decisions, and then you're stuck with it for a very long majority of the game.
Yeah, there's no turning around a bad Civilization game. Like you're just done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in the first 30 minutes, if you're good or bad.
Yeah, and I have fought this idea for years and years, and I've looked up people who play Civilization competitively, if you can believe that, looking for how do these people get a leg up on each other, and they don't. Most Civilization competitive games take 45 minutes because 5 of the 6 people quit. That's how a winner is determined. Yeah.
It's I know I can't play in the next 20 minutes because I know I'm already dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Civilization needs to iterate, or somebody else will do it for them.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree. But they won't because there's no competition. They are what they are.
Yeah, Civilization is bad. Title of the video.
It's just going to be your face with a big bold text, Civilization bad, ?
Just pointing to it.
Yeah, pointing. Yeah, you holding your hands like this, but you're not holding a copy of the game. It's clearly photoshopped in. Yeah.
Once again, that game is beautiful for a lot of ways, and I think important.
It needs to iterate.
Have always been. Yeah. But the actual game itself, the board game behind it, needs to change. Needs to become a lot more fun and group friendly.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree. All right, James, what do you got for me? Give me one more.
I got one more.
Give me a hot one.
It's pretty interesting.
Okay, it's pretty interesting.
Loot boxes should be banned from single player games.
Oh yeah.
Banned?
The idea
legally
and loot system. So the idea that you can pay money to get a random item in a single player game is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Well, it goes back to my hot take of games are fat.
Yeah.
why do we have a system where you need to randomly get better items in a single player game?
Or even boosts like level wise in a single player game. Like
absolutely.
To me, like I'm okay with like a battle pass type system for games. Mm-hmm. And it's maybe some types of loot box system in a multiplayer game. Yeah. But in a single player game, it's like I've already paid you the money for the content.
Yeah.
And you're gonna lock it behind another paid system?
Yeah. Well, I mean, would you want to like a book to pay extra money for a book to get SparkNotes version of chapters to make it go by faster?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you buy the book and then you have to like pay for each chapter.
Yeah, it's if a product that I bought with my money that is a single player, narrative experience, whatever you want to call it, should be that. There shouldn't be any reason why I would need to like boost past that for any reason, even if they're like free loot boxes in the game. This idea that like, oh, you can speed up this process seems ridiculous to me.
That's what I really like the new Assassin's Creed games. I think they're fun open world RPGs, but they have an entire marketplace for cash money that you can buy items and XP boosts and all of this, cosmetic stuff that isn't in the game and it's just locked behind a paywall. And I guess it's paid DLC like cosmetic stuff, but it's like it feels kind of shitty when like you're like, oh wow, people can ride a giant wolf in this game. Oh no, only if you pre-ordered or paid $10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, this kind of sucks. I don't think cosmetic loot boxes in multiplayer games are bad. I think they make sense. It's like buying a Yu-Gi-Oh booster pack when I was a kid. I didn't know what I was going to get, but I spent my $3 on it anyways to see what I was going to get. And that's how it was. And sure.
Yeah.
But I do think that in a single player game, it's ridiculous to have like a loot box randomized system for a new cape.
Yeah. It's definitely
right. If you're buying a video game for a power fantasy of wearing cool capes, why put that behind any kind of paywall or randomization wall?
Let them wear capes.
Yeah, let them wear capes.
Let them eat capes.
I think it's a great transitional point to talk about what we've been playing.
Capes. Oh, okay.
Because I got a cape story for you. I texted Ted yesterday.
I got like 6 more.
Do you really? Do you want to rattle them off?
No.
Okay. Did you get all your hot ones off your chest?
I got one more hot one on my.
Okay, then I think you should go for it.
Competitive multiplayer games need to lay off the esports ranked mode draft pick vibe.
I think
more video games are putting you in these situations where you need to like gear up and it's this 5v5 scenario and we're going to balance it and you're going to have roles and it's very sportsified,
Yeah.
Quick example, Team Fortress 2 was a game you just popped in, you picked a character in a class and you helped out your team to win each match. Overwatch is the exact same style of game, but instead they fluff it up a whole bunch with roles and character categories.
You have to play the roles.
Yeah, and you have to follow metas. And it's all based in this, esports or like sporting event style thing.
Yeah.
And I'm over it, man. Like, let me just drop into a giant Battlefield game, give me a gun and say, shoot the guys who are red.
Do what I want, please.
Yeah, just let me play around with my friends in a fun playground.
Yeah.
I don't like this competitive sportsifying of all multiplayer games.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think it's very fun. I think it can be done super well. But we are seeing less and less options of more just like multiplayer playgrounds, which is making games like Valheim so much fun. Of just play with your friends and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And
build a boat.
Whereas, Rainbow Six Siege is like, okay, I'm going to play this. I'm going to use this gun. We're going to do these very specific things. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Yeah. They're not accessible either. I would say that's not like I loved Rainbow Six Siege when I was playing it, and then I remember they dropped like 2 DLC packs when Gunnar and I stopped playing Rainbow Six, and then it was like, did we go back? Because then we got to learn like 8 new maps and 5 new characters, and people are gonna be mad at us because we don't know where to look. And
yeah,
I think we're done.
You didn't look at that door.
That's how Rainbow Six is. It's like, what the fuck? You're not on this choke point? Are you fucking kidding me? What's your problem? You're like,
yep.
All right, I'm sorry. Like, Jesus, I'm just hanging out. Like, I'm just playing as the toxin dude.
Just trying to click heads.
Yeah, just clicking heads all day.
Esports are important and great, but I am not an esports player.
I also hate forced esports games. Like the game comes out and it's specifically tailored for like an esports franchise. To me, esports shouldn't be forced.
That was Valorant. Valorant was made to be an
it was
esport.
Valorant. Yeah. And that's now how it is. But before it was just like the game came out and then a community built or was centered around it. It was community driven.
Yeah.
And then it got support. That's how it should be.
I agree.
Yeah. Different times.
I miss those times. All right, boys. Here we come to the last segment of our show. I want to know what we've been playing. Now I'm gonna go first because I wanted to transition on that beautiful cape moment, and Ted took that from me. Just like everything in my life.
I'm always taking your capes.
Fuck, you take the wind out of my cape.
Yeah.
All right, you're like my kryptonite.
No capes.
No capes. All right, so I've been playing, James. I played about 3 hours of Valheim.
Wow.
I played with Ted and his cousin Jefferson. It was great times, but I texted Ted over the weekend, yesterday, and I was like, I want you to know I just made a leather cape, and you will bow to your king, because I am now the king of our land, with my leather cape, my leather helmet. It's a great game. I'm actually very impressed with Valheim. It's a bit obtuse, and I think playing it just on my own, I would be very lost and
yeah. Don't play it on your own.
So playing it with starting a game with Ted and Jefferson was very good. Of like, okay, so what do I do here? Why can't I do this on the workbench? Oh, it needs to be covered. Okay, why can't I do this? So there's a lot of systems how they interweave that you don't really know.
Do this? Yep.
But that's fine. I think playing with someone now I'm at a point where I built my house and I'm kind of confused on really what to do next. I read a little bit. I've got to go to an altar and put a thing on a thing and then fight a thing. I'm like, all right.
Don't do that too soon.
That's what I also read. I was like, you don't have to do that.
Yeah,
But Valheim, very... She's fine, Madeline.
Oh, she's okay.
Sorry, Maddie's on the floor on her hands and knees trying to scoop our cat up and
like
crawl her out of the room. She's like,
I didn't want her to interrupt.
That's Maddie, everybody. You're on the podcast.
Hey.
But she was on her hands and knees going like this.
That's your fiance.
That's my fiance right here, Madeline. Yeah, I made an announcement. Yeah, so Valheim... Very sorry, I don't know. Valheim, very good. I'm very excited to see how it keeps going. And James and I spoke a little bit about Valheim last night, and oh, you sailed to different islands. What the fuck does that even mean? Okay, so we're gonna get to a point where I sail to different islands.
It's a world.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it was just gonna be
continent.
This area. So I'm very intrigued about where it goes. That being said, I don't think it's a game to just jump in by yourself. Hunter asked that, he's like, should I just get it? And I was like, get it, but play with someone. Don't just go, I'm just going to hop in and see what happens. I feel like I would not have liked it if I didn't play the first 2 hours with Ted. But I liked all the systems. I like everything that interweaves. I like that there's consequences. I love that you have to make a chimney and there's you can die from carbon monoxide. And I think all of that stuff is really intriguing in a fun way. And I also think the visual style is awesome. I don't get why people think it's ugly. I think it looks really interesting and unique. But I think maybe, Ted.
Yeah, I tried to think of something else to talk about for what I've been playing. Played some Flight Simulator, messed around with a couple games some games in VR. But none of that matters because I think in the week and a half, 2 weeks that I bought Valheim, I've put in almost 75 hours.
This is the guy that just earlier was like, video games are too long. And I don't
there we go. Games. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
I was waiting for that moment for him to talk about how much he's played Valheim.
100%. But these are 75 hours that I volunteered to play. And I have gone back and restarted characters to play with other people to kind of get them up to where we are in our main group because it is so much fun. Everything, James, you said about it in your first impressions was 100% dead on. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, it didn't click in my brain when you said them. I think it's because when you say early access survival game, my brain goes to janky and clunky.
Yeah. Conan or some really
it goes to when I first played Rust. That's what my head was like. I'm not gonna play Rust right now.
I just didn't.
I didn't sell it well.
I didn't think the systems in that game would work as well and as interconnectedly as they do, in a fascinating and super fun way. That game is just incredible. It's definitely a game you play with friends. That is not a game you play alone. There are, I don't want to spoil anything for the audience or for Jake, but there are definitely points later on in that game that are just very basic Minecrafty survival things that I don't think you should do on your own. Just in terms of inventory space and being outside in the dangerous world.
I went into a dungeon today and got killed by a skeleton.
Yep.
It was very scary.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
No, but that game, it has a really incredible sense of wonder to it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are saying it's similar to their first time playing World of Warcraft, and I 100% agree with it.
Ooh, that's a good take there.
Yeah, and it's simply because you're I don't really know what I'm doing. This world is really big, and there are parts of it that I just can't go to. I walk into a forest where the mood changes, and then I get killed by a giant troll. What the fuck?
I mean, the bird literally tells your little tutorial bird's like, "Hey, this is a scary place. Don't come here." And he's like, "You can, but you're an idiot."
Yeah, and so there's this constant even now, 75 hours in, there are constantly like, okay, guys, like, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is new territory. Like, new stuff's going to show up. Like, let's be careful.
Yep.
But then, and so there's this real interesting sense of wonder, and like you said, James, the world is big.
It's huge.
Like my gang and I think there were 5 of us who all jumped on a boat together, and we had to sail for about 25 minutes.
Yep. I was telling Jake about that.
To get to the next boss.
Yeah.
Because it was like 25 in-game minutes of just sailing on open waters.
You're sailing open waters, like ocean, to get to another.
Yeah, and when we got there, it was like an invasion. We had to jump off the boat. We had to kill all these things outside that were really difficult, build walls, and like establish our base quickly because nightfall was coming and we didn't want to get the stamina loss.
That's really exciting. Just
that feeling of intensity of like, okay, guys, go, jump off the boat. Let's do our things was really cool. And then we built a little forward base. We did our thing over in that area, and then we came back to our home base and spent the whole time at camp farming and crafting and just goofing off at home.
Yeah.
It has a lot of those MMO moments of like there are times of intensity and there are really interesting times of downtime.
Yep.
You know, you can be out there doing a dungeon with your friends using a pretty good combat system. Like the blocking, the hitting, it's not Dark Souls level of accuracy, but it's very good. And then you can come home and build a fun house with your friends. Yeah. And, and mess around with the different crafting and assign roles of like, all right, you're going to be on the smelter smelting iron, and you're going to be, making the
Cooking.
farms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, Jefferson, you're not good at anything, so we're just going to have you build the house. That's not true. He's way better at this game than I am.
I would say like what Ted said, everything James said in that episode, I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes ago about Valheim was so true, but not playing it, like you don't get like how true what he was saying was, I guess. Where you're just like
you need to play it to like fully realize like
and you don't realize how unique it is. I think is like a thing too. Like you kind of like, well, I've kind of played Rust, I get it, and like it's so vapidly different than any of that. So I think I would recommend it to anybody. It's what, $20 or something. I think is.
It's $20. It's $20.
Yeah.
It's
20.
Cheap.
Yeah.
It is definitely a game you should play with your friends.
Yep.
That is a must, I think. Just in terms of necessity and just fun emergent moments, it's definitely a game to be experienced with others.
Yeah. Also, it's a game that you're not just going to try out. So like it is a game where like, all right, I got to put a lot of hours into this game, and like that's hard living with someone else that doesn't play video games, and it's like, okay, so I got to divvy my time up of like, is this my game I'm going to play for a while?
But on that note, it's fun in that like you can pop on with your friends on a scheduled like, okay, we're going to do the boss tonight, or you can pop in by yourself and be like, I'm just going to farm some carrots.
Get some
I'm just going to get some wood for the team and bring it to our little house together because, that's being helpful in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And one final point about it working together so well. Fun moment that I'm going to share with Jake's first experience playing this game. He got the axe for the first time, and I told him, hey, you can cut down trees, but be careful. And he was like, what does that mean? And he cut down a tree, and to kind of illustrate how cool these systems are, when you cut down a tree, the tree falls. The log tumbles to the ground and falls, and you have to cut it up from there, like in a weird simulation aspect.
Yeah.
It fell on me.
Okay, I thought I fell on Jake.
And so I was not even done telling Jake to be careful, and a log
he's like
splats on me.
Boom.
Yep.
I was like, oh, you can die from the trees.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's great.
That has yet to happen to me,
it's,
but so many close calls.
It's fun, weird little moments like that are just constantly being naturally fed to you that just make this game a treat to play with your friends for hours and hours.
It's really good. I'm excited to see the full launch of it too, and kind of where Valheim goes.
I'm really excited for this team that like literally has all the money they want, and they they can
it's like
do
a
their
team
thing.
it's like a team of 2.
I think it's 5 people.
Oh, or is it 5? Yeah, 5.
Yeah, it's 5 people, but it's like maybe like 2.
No, I was thinking
coders.
It's 5,
but
only 5 people made this game.
Yeah, and they've sold over 5 million copies on Steam, so I think they're doing okay.
Yeah,
I think they're doing pretty well.
And I will say something I wasn't expecting out of this. This is the first early access game that I've really enjoyed. Because it's early access. Most of the time, I think early access, and I'm like, it's not done.
I don't touch it. Yeah.
I'm the same. I don't want to have to come back and relearn things that they added.
Yeah.
But this game is very fleshed out. A lot of the core components are there, and now thinking about early access, it's less about what am I missing and more about like, well, what could they do? And you read their game plan going forward, and you're like, oh, they want to add.
They have a roadmap.
Yeah, they're going to add more areas. So like the end of the game is not the end of the game right now.
That's what I told everyone.
They're going to add more like food crafting for food specifically, which Jake, you'll get to.
Okay.
And like, oh, okay, so there's going to be more food and potions for me to make. That's kind of neat. And then they're like, okay, and we're going to add more boat stuff. And I'm like, okay.
That's
I
so
can see
cool.
where they could go with boat stuff. That's, yeah. And so reading their roadmap, I'm just like, I am super excited for what they will add to this game.
I often forget it's early access. Like, I actually didn't really get that vibe while
It's
playing
early
it.
access.
Yep.
Which, it's surprising when you play an early access game and it's like so well polished. And
Yeah, I think usually with early access, you play the game and then you read a note that's like, well, the blocking's broken right now, but it'll be fixed by the end of the game. And you're like, well,
this is
that
a
seems...
demo that you just put on early access.
Yeah, but this is a fully flushed game with much more to come, and I think that's super exciting.
Now, speaking of games that have much more to come that are in demo form right now, James, Transition.
Well, it released, but it did have a demo form for a long time, or at least for a week.
Wait, Valheim?
But it did release. No, not Valheim, but the game I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about another game. I was going to talk about Outriders right now.
Oh, Outriders. Oh, okay.
So you want to go there or you want to go to your game first?
No, let's go Outriders.
Okay, and then we can end on your game.
Yeah.
All right. We're talking about Outriders, the demo that just came out it's on everything. I think it's PS5, Xbox, all that jazz. It's People Can Fly. They made Gears of War Judgment and Bulletstorm. It is their co-op drop-in looter shooter called Outriders. And James, I want to know...
Clancy's The Division Outriders. No,
yeah, basically. So James, I want to know your thoughts, just very brief thoughts on Outriders. Then I'll give mine, and then we'll dive deep and tell Ted about this interesting thing.
So brief thoughts is that for a demo like this, kind of cool. Like I like that aspect. Like I can just go play a co-op demo and with anyone. All they have to do is download it. And really, you get 2 hours of content.
Really cool thing. Your progress carries over into the main game, which I think is cool.
Yes, that's that should be a more common theme. I feel like, especially with these types of games. But you cannot relate with the characters. You cannot relate with the story. What you have to do and where you have to go is kind of like really Destiny-esque, and it's clunky. Mm-hmm. And this is a demo for a game that's coming out, April?
Yeah, it's April 1st.
And it did not feel clean. Mm-hmm. It was buggy at times too. The co-op, because I think you played the single player.
I just played
the co-op. Mm-hmm. The co-op, sometimes the enemies, the AI would ignore your co-op partner, and it will only target the host. So your co-partner could just walk around and like kill all the enemies without getting hit at all, and that's
weird.
Oh boy. And the combat. So when you think of like Gears of War Judgment, like I didn't play Gears of War Judgment, so I was thinking Gears of War.
Yeah,
you don't snap to barriers. You don't. The cover sucks.
Yeah, I've heard
the gunplay is not like.
I've heard that this is a cover shooter that doesn't want to be a cover shooter.
Yeah.
That it has cover mechanics and you're told to use them, and then it immediately says, use your abilities to get out of cover and get in there.
Yep.
Yes.
And it flip-flops back and forth about what kind of style you want to play, and that seems very aggravating to me.
You brought up something really good, and that's the abilities.
Yeah.
That is a good thing in this game.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
The abilities feel powerful, strong. Mm-hmm. I wish they were more abundant. Like I could just keep doing abilities. And I looked at the progress tree, and you can. There's
it's a lot of quick
upgrades.
cooldowns and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't get much in the demo, but that's a good thing.
There's 5 classes, James. Which ones did you play as?
I did Pyro, the Pyromancer, and the long range one. I can't remember which one.
Okay, and I did
called.
Trickster, who was the short range that heals yourself guy.
Yes.
Outriders is a very weird experience as a demo. The first hour is laughably terrible.
Yes.
Actually uncomfortably bad. In my opinion, to where I was why am I I was kind of embarrassed playing this game with Maddie on the couch next to me, because first
were you watching all the cutscenes?
Yeah,
sounds like Bulletstorm to me.
So it's Bulletstorm, but Bulletstorm knew it was bad and took that in stride. Yep. I think Outriders kind of thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
The story is somewhat interesting. It's humanity's last ship leaving Earth, and they find a planet and they land on it. They're it's livable, and then it's not livable. And then you get put into cryo freeze, and you wake up 30 years later.
Reason.
But yeah, for no reason, you just get put in cryo freeze.
Yeah,
but,
I'm just gonna wake you up right now.
But the getting to these story beats are these small snippets of gameplay where you just walked from point A to point B, or you shoot one thing. and then like it does like
You
another
walk
5
outside
minute
and go
cutscene.
shoot people and then walk back in.
Like it doesn't feel good, and the abilities are the cool part of this game, and that's like an
Yes.
hour and 15, 20 minutes into the demo.
The abilities feel great once you unlock them all.
Yeah, and so like like I really enjoyed the fighting with the abilities. I did like what James is saying. The cover doesn't feel good. Like where Gears of War like has like a heavy feeling when you hit cover of like I'm secure, like, and then like you feel powerful behind cover. I feel like Bulletstorm, like you get to cover and you're like, why am I here? Like, this is a bad spot.
Yeah, you get to cover and you're like, I can't do anything here.
Yeah. Did you
You
also
mean
find it
Outriders.
kind of what I say?
You said Bulletstorm.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Outriders. Did you ever feel like it was hard to see the enemies, James, in rooms?
Sometimes.
Okay, that was just a problem maybe I had.
Sometimes like I could see like the ones I could always see are the ones that just run up to you, like kind of like
Yeah.
you have that
There's like melee guys.
Borderlands-esque type enemy
Yeah.
that's just running up to you, like trying to melee you. And guess what? You don't have really any good like if you're playing long or even medium range, like they're up in your face and you have like only your abilities to kind of like get away from them and run.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a lot of
you
like
don't have any,
dodging
like-
and running.
Like your shotgun sucks for some reason. The shotgun does nothing.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have the AR or like a rifle, but
Yeah, and I didn't feel like the loot was very satisfying.
loot sucked too.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I wasn't like stoked by anything I was picking up. I was pretty early in, and I was like, all right, this is kind of meh.
I mean, it's like I think it's random drops. So sometimes you'll get a common, sometimes you get a rare,
Okay.
and then there's no point in me like going to the shop and buying something because I knew this is the demo. And just like Destiny, it's like I'm not going to the shop to buy something. Usually, I'm gonna find like a drop that's
Yeah.
better.
You always find a drop that's better.
This demo did not showcase the game very well. Like you played like against one boss, and that boss was super easy.
yeah.
It was.
I was really
not-
excited about this game, like intrigued. I wouldn't say excited, intrigued. And like,
Intrigued.
this could be a cool like game for all of us to like drop in and out of, and like have our characters. It's cross-play, it's cross-platform. I can play it on multiple things. It's cool. But then just playing the demo, I was like, I don't need to be a part of this.
It's too simple for me.
Yeah,
like,
I'm good.
I could just. I was like, man, maybe I'll just play Destiny. And it's
That's
like,
what I thought.
I won't play Destiny.
But I was like, if I'm gonna play one of these kind of games, I'll play Destiny, like or Division. Like I'll play something
so
that's
then the other thing is the $60 price tag on this game.
yeah.
Oof.
It's totally unjustified. Even
Yeah.
like $30, I would be like, maybe.
Yeah, $30. I'd be like,
it-
that's fine. That makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah. It just doesn't.
But
It doesn't feel
$60
triple
for
A.
this type of game. Ooh man, I'm getting Division feels.
Yeah. Oh, and Ted, the voice acting is so funnily bad. Like it's so terribly
It's
bad. Yeah. He's like, you gotta go do this. He's like, who else, Sarge? Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if I can.
did you play the side missions?
I played one of them. It was real bad.
Was it the one where like you rescue a guy?
Yeah.
Okay, and then like he shoots the guys who rescue him, and then he gets shot, and that's it.
Yep. That was it. That was a side quest.
And then,
You're
and
done.
then it ends. Like there's no like it's like what was the point? And you don't do anything.
Yeah,
after
it
that.
ends, and then like
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the like lady in the hub goes like, all right, well you can come on back now and get more missions.
Yep.
you're like-
It's like,
Oh.
are we not gonna explain like who shot this guy? What happened here?
Like,
Yeah.
did you watch the dude get shot? Like, oh, all right, cool.
He shoots the people that are with him, and then he gets shot, and it's like, okay, that's it. Yep.
The voice
Yeah,
acting
I'm
was a
stunned.
lot like Peter Dinklage when he was the Destiny voice of like, oh my god, it's a witch. She probably came from the moon. You're like, oh, is it bad? Is it good? Okay.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
do I kill that guy who shot? Yeah. So
I was
it's
not impressed by Outriders.
laughably bad.
And it seems like that's the general consent right now about this demo is that like
I don't think anyone was just like, oh,
this
pretty good.
like this is not selling us on this game, guys. Like
Yeah.
honestly, the demo might have hurt people
Yeah,
buying
right.
this
I think
game.
the demo definitely hurt this game. If this game
Yeah.
released without the demo, it probably would have been like
Yeah.
sold more. I don't,
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I think it's coming in late to a party. It's really tough to sell me on a service-based looter shooter right now
Yeah.
when Destiny 2 is free and established. And it's like, why should I stop? Not that I've started, but why should I stop thinking about Destiny 2 and switch over to this
yeah,
right now?
that's like, you have to compete with what's on the market.
Yeah.
That seems like a really tough sell already. And you just throw onto me that it's not really engaging. And it's like, all right, well, like you said, why am I not playing Destiny 2 instead?
Right.
Which is crazy to me. That seems like such a tough hill to climb up.
I know.
I feel for people can fly.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah. It's a very interesting.
I don't know.
attempt.
I hope that they take the feedback and like do something with it. Like
Yeah.
target your abilities and make those like the center point of your game. Like increase like the AI coverage and
Yeah.
how that's working, because man, it is fun to use the abilities. I can't remember. Is yours the one that puts up like the field and then like you can
Like stops time, like makes
Yeah.
everyone slow. Yeah.
So that gave me
It's so
such
cool.
like Death Stranding feels to me, or like I don't know if you told me this, but like Dr. Manhattan, like kind of.
Yeah. It feels like. Do you guys ever play a Quantum Break or Quantum? Is it Quantum Break?
Leap?
No, Quantum Leap's the show. The one with it was the Remedy game before Control with.
I've never Quantum Break, but
it was like a movie. It was like a TV show.
It was Quantum Break.
They had really cool like slow down time abilities in that game, and it reminds me of like when you pop that bubble and you're like everyone's like super slow. You're like, I feel like I'm in charge in this like slot right here, and it's really cool.
That character is, I mean, the abilities on that are so cool too, because like you put up the barrier, it slows everyone, it slows bullets.
Yeah.
But then also you have another ability that like turns the characters to dust. Like basically like you see their bones and it just like
they're really cool.
It gave you like Death Stranding type feel. I don't know. That was a cool thing.
I also one thing that I can say that's really cool about this demo and it looks like game is that there is a point where you get to pick your character class and it says from here on out, anytime you start a new character, you can start from this moment.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, cool. You don't have to like go through the first hour
Do
again.
a prologue.
Please.
Yeah. I thought that was like pretty unique.
Yeah.
All right, James, we're coming up on an hour. I want to know.
Yes.
What
I got another
is
game
this
to tell you guys that
game?
hopefully you're not going to like put 80 hours into.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I'm going to read from Jason Char's Twitter because this is kind of like what I saw when
I like
got this
it.
game. First, he dropped the trailer and I looked at the trailer and I was like, okay, I'll play the game. And then he drops this. It's not it.
Jason Char really big into Anthem. Yep.
He was big. He was hopeful.
Loves
for
it.
I followed him to that.
I know.
Oh
yeah, James already lost one of his predictions this year. I just want to.
But I think I got another one.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if I get it. But it says, okay, yeah, Loop Hero is wonderful.
What is it?
It's a roguelite Loop Hero.
Oh,
like Guitar Hero, but
I saw a picture of this.
It's a roguelite dungeon crawler where you don't actually do any of the dungeon crawling. Instead, you make strategic decisions, what gear to use, how to map out the world, when to take risks, and when to retreat. So that's this game.
But you're not doing any of the fighting.
It's like automatic fighting.
Oh.
You literally like it's like a loop platform. Like picture like a grid.
Yeah.
And you have tiles
this
that you
looks
can put
like
down.
a very 90s inspired.
Yeah.
Is it early access right now?
No, I think it's out.
No, it is full release.
Yeah. But you could play the demo.
Okay.
Play it up till it lets you like max out everything you want, and then carry over your demo save to the main game. Like it'll automatically like carry it over.
Ooh, I'm
so you
looking
don't have
this
to
up
start
right
from
now.
the beginning. So if you want to try it out for free, play the demo.
Okay.
And see if you like it.
Loop Hero.
It kind of reminds me of like Into the Breach, where you can like place down units and like strategically like figure out like how you're gonna like fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's this game. So you have like tiles. It has an automatically generated loop. Your hero's gonna walk around it, and you have like this deck kind of like you kill an enemy and you get a card, and that card can be like a resource. It could be like rock, which gives you health. It could be like meadow, which heals you after day and night cycles, and then you have cards that are like Vampire Mansion. You put it near a tile, and any units that spawn on that will have a vampire that spawns as well. And you want these units in the game because you're trying to like get loot.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to kill these mobs to get weapons, to get armor, to get like rings, build up your hero, max it out with like loop, and then you're gonna try to fight the end boss. So you play the game, and it's also has like a pause and planning cycle, so you like can pause it after you finish a battle.
Yeah.
Put down how you want to like. Okay, I want to have spider cocoons here. I want to like. So it's just really addicting.
That sounds awesome.
It is a fun roguelike. And
Yeah.
then sometimes like, okay, I have low health. Like it's like, okay, there's no way I'm going to survive this battle. You can choose to retreat. And if you retreat, you keep 60% of your items.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whereas if you like die, you could lose like a big fat stack of your items. Or once you complete a loop, you have the option every time you complete a loop to retreat with everything. So you'll take all those items, and you take those items and you build up your camp, and those can give you like better weapons, a different class.
Yeah.
It is.
That sounds
fun.
awesome. Did you buy the full game?
Bought the full game.
It's like $12. Yeah, I just looked it up. I'm buying it instantly.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This seems like
I love this roguelike.
Yeah,
and you could just do it. You could have it playing, like looping, and then I could be doing something else, and then you could pause it whenever you want.
That's
It
so
is something
cool.
that just like
that.
runs in the background.
It looks like an ARPG without the action. It is just solely based on decisions and not timing or reflexes.
It's automatic like fighting, but it's like cool to see like your weapons or your gear, and then like how everything works and
Very cool.
Really cool.
your class.
Yeah.
All right, I'm checking that out for sure.
Yeah,
Sounds
I'm
awesome.
digging this game. It doesn't look like much, but it's just like
I'm digging the art style. This
I'm
looks
excited.
like
I haven't-
something-
yeah, I haven't looked
The
at my-
music
would've-
is my favorite. You're gonna love this video.
Oh,
It
I'm
is
excited.
good music.
This looks like something I would have seen as a child on a
Yeah,
computer
it's like-
that was too tall for me.
It would have been great if this was like a DOS like type game.
yeah,
because
yeah. It has a
feels like
DOS
that.
inspired. I know it's not. It's colorful,
Yeah.
but it looks like it. That's very cool.
That's exciting.
That's the game you guys are gonna be trying to
All right.
play because
Yeah,
Loop
yeah.
Hero.
I'm in. I put like 8 hours in the demo and then instantly went over to the building.
Where are you getting a demo from?
So I don't know if it's available. It was available before but it was on
Gotcha.
Steam. But yeah,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know if it's available anymore. But it was before the game's release.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
what people were playing. And this demo was great because you could play 8 hours into it and still I couldn't unlock everything.
Oh,
Like
that's
it has
awesome.
stuff capped off.
Oh,
But-
okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then once you buy the main game, it unlocks all that.
Oh man,
I'm
demos
just gonna buy
making
it.
a
It's
big
12
return
bucks.
in 2021.
That's so good.
Yes.
Loop Hero, guys. That's the game to play. It sounds like. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 48. Remember, we are 2 subscribers away from 100. If you're the 100th one, Ted's gonna say your name next episode. He's gonna do it. We're gonna make him. We're gonna force him to.
He'll
Yeah,
say
that-
it.
He'll say
part's
So
it.
make
true.
it extra complicated.
Yeah, please. I want the most complicated name. All right, a lot of syllables. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. I've been reading the comments, people saying they're enjoying the show, and it's their weekly routine. It's great. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.